Hello, and welcome to the Rock and Roll Podcast. I'm your host, John Harris, and today on the Rock and Roll Podcast, we have Beast in Black, and they have a new album called Dark Connection, released October 29th via Nuclear Blast Records. Right now, I'm being joined by Anton to share some more information about this stellar release, a couple of tracks that they have released, some videos, a tour. I've also got, as a guitar player, so many questions about that killer guitar tone he gets. So, Anton, great to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be there.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Now, I'll start with a big, huge, sweeping question, which is Dark Connection as an album. Does it have a theme? Does it have a concept? What did you guys aim to create with this album?
Well, it's not a concept album, but it circles around cyberpunk themes quite heavily. It was already in 2018 when I knew that the next album will be cyberpunk, but I didn't have any lyrics or concrete stories ready or even songs selected for it. But I just kind of knew, okay, cyberpunk is the thing that I want to have for third album. And usually the musical side of things, the song composing and selection process goes like this, that I go through my song catalog, or through a section of my song catalog that I have, I've been writing songs since I was a small kid, and I go through that and collect maybe in the end 15 or 20 songs or half completed songs sometimes, which I then complete, and then I present them to the band guys, and they kind of tell which are their favorites and so forth. And that's how the track list is born. And it's always a hybrid of past and present. So, for example, the song Hardcore, the chorus melody in it is, I think it's 10 or 15 years old. I changed a few notes here and there, but all in all, the main kind of parts of the melody are the same. But the rest of that song, it's kind of new, totally fresh stuff, mostly. And then some other songs are totally new, written in 2019 or 2018 or a few years old. And then I did some refining still in the early 2020 for some songs. But mostly the first half of 2020 went into the lyrics writing, and that's when things started to become more like difficult, because songwriting itself doesn't really take time. It's more about like selecting the songs from that huge library that I have and so forth. But yeah, it took half a year to write the lyrics, actually. Apart from cyberpunk, there were also 3 songs based on Berserk manga anime, and those songs are Dark New World, To the Last Drop of Blood, and Broken Survivors. And they have nothing to do with cyberpunk, but still, I believe that music is a magical language that can tie together different themes without it feeling like weird or not fitting. Musically, like the songs really like complement each other when you listen to the album from beginning to the end, and you don't get this weird feeling that wow, this is not something that doesn't fit here at all on this album, even though it's not cyberpunk, because you don't think it that way. There's so many like metaphors also in use, so it leaves you a lot of room for interpretation. And since the album's profile is like heavily cyberpunk in the visuals and most of the lyrics, even some of the songs that I mentioned that are not about cyberpunk, someone who is not familiar with Berserk might think that those songs are about cyberpunk because of that, like the words, the metaphors that are used there. They can easily like create the kind of a story, the meaning for those words themselves.
Yeah. Something else I'm noticing as well are a couple of covers, and I'm curious, out of all the covers in the entire world, why these two? And the Michael Jackson one is the one I'm most excited about, because you guys did a great job on that one.
Oh, thanks very much. The simple reason is because they're great songs, and that's it. We don't think that genre plays any role whether a song is good or bad. If you strip down either of those songs into a plain acoustic version, you take that Manowar song, play the chords, and sing the melody on top, like with acoustic guitar, and do the same thing with the Michael Jackson song, you realize, hey, they are not so different from each other. They both have the same kind of chord progressions in them, like 3 or 4 chords, and like the melody is catchy. That main melody, like the chorus melody, is like that sticks to your mind, and strong lyrics, and all the elements that we think that our songs also have. So it felt actually quite fun and easy to do those songs into Beast in Black versions. And the Michael Jackson song was even more fun because the original doesn't have a heavy instrumentation in it, and it left so much space to experiment and to fill with the keyboard elements and bit heavier drums and heavier guitar sounds. And that makes it sound more Beast in Black-ish. And of course, Janni's voice, which is like from voice people, from the singer's voice, people usually recognize the fastest, like that, hey, this is the Beast in Black singer. But apart from that, still I would say even the instrumental version of those songs, if you would do that, you could hear that, hey, there's a Beast in Black style to these.
Mm-hmm. One of the things, as soon as I saw the track title, They Don't Care About Us, I immediately heard it in my head. As you mentioned, very catchy chorus. Everything Michael did was incredible, class act. And that song in particular, even when I was a young kid hearing it, I always thought, this is like almost a metal song, the way he's getting all that aggression into his vocals. Like, obviously, as you mentioned, the instrumentation's more pop-oriented because it's Michael Jackson, but the way he's singing it is pretty aggressive.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And, he is, as an artist, he is really a genius and super talented. And he himself also proved that actually, even though he's a king of pop and so forth, but as you said, he could easily be performing in a metal song if he would choose to make a heavy metal record, if that would have ever happened. So when you have material like that, it's easy to mold it into any direction you want if it's good, like if the song's essence is good, which is the melody and the chord progression, and then like with your interpretation, with the singing style and the instrumentation, you can kind of define the style, the genre. But that's irrelevant, like when it comes to saying if a song is good or not. It's just like kind of categorizing things. But I really don't think about genres. I don't think any of us is really that kind of genre oriented, or how to put it, like for some people it seems like genres are like the gospel truth or some kind of a Bible that they act almost like like this religious fanatics. If it's not a certain genre, it's bad, even without listening. If the genre is not correct, it's bad, or something like that. And that's so narrow-minded. And in heavy metal, I think the best thing is that, in my opinion, that's the only actually genre, if you put it that way, where you can actually add any other styles, like influences into that. I mean, in metal, you can go as slow, as soft, as subtle, as elegant, as smooth, as silent as possible. And you can go from there into the other extreme end, as loud, as fast, as aggressive, as high as possible. And everything in between. And heavy metal is just kind of the frames, but it's up to you, the artist, the songwriter, and the singer and the musicians, how much they are willing to go outside of that heavy metal frame and it doesn't mean they are like, for example, it doesn't mean Beast in Black is not a heavy metal band if we do a heavily disco influenced song, or if we do a heavily symphonic song, or heavily like AOR influenced song. We are still a heavy metal band, and that's, to me, heavy metal is kind of the most liberating style, because it's not really a strict style or like genre. It kind of gives you the most freedom to explore different musical scapes.
Yeah, landscapes, soundscapes. You mentioned a fun one there, AOR, and you also mentioned what I call the campfire version of the song, bringing it down to an acoustic guitar. Is that how you approach writing, as like, even just in the case of this album? Just how does it sound on an acoustic guitar? And also you mentioned spending half a year working on lyrics. Was that also a crucial part of it?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I write just with a guitar or a keyboard, or just without any instrument. I just like take a walk somewhere and I just compose in my head. And when I go back home, I just write down those notes which I had in my mind. I don't necessarily need an instrument to compose, because I know how to kind of put melodies and chords and rhythms together. I know how they usually work without me first trying out, because it's already so clear in my mind how it works. But sometimes I do it with an instrument, and there's no specific strict method how I approach songwriting, because inspiration can come to you at any time, and then you have to be able to kind of save that moment. So you have to learn to kind of like save that idea, even if you don't have an instrument with you. So you better practice like songwriting without any instruments as well, and that's what I've been doing throughout my life, because it's actually fun. When you have inspiration, you just enjoy the stuff that you hear in your head. And then the thing about the lyric writing lasting for a half a year, first of all, it's never been such a long process for me, but somehow this time it just I always go to the same kind of detail, but for some reason now it was even more difficult to find the way how to connect the melody with the kind of a message and idea that I had written down on paper, like the words. I mean, when I write a melody, I'm really reluctant to change a single note from it, because I usually write them the way that they need to be, and there's a reason for each note. Not a single note is like there by chance, or I won't change a note unless there's a purpose to change a single note. And when I write a great like story or a line, in my opinion, I'm thinking, yes, this is what I want to tell in the song in a certain melodic part. But I realized that it doesn't fit there. The syllables, the amount of syllables, or the places where certain words are stressed, those parts don't sound correct with the melody when I place them on top of each other, or just the syllables are too less or too many, they don't fit to the melody, and then it's just struggling about how to find another way to say the same thing without losing what you wanted to say, and save the melody as it is. There many bands in Finland especially, but everywhere in Europe and the whole world actually, people often they stretch the syllables in a really awkward and unnatural way. Sometimes you can do it and you have to do it, and even like in opera, that's what they often do. You stretch one syllable and go through many notes, but you have to know when you can do it and when you can't. And so many bands always just do it, and it sounds horrible to my ear, and that's why I try to avoid it 100% in Beast in Black and make every syllable of the whole album from beginning to end sound natural. And usually when you don't pay attention, like, wow, something sounded weird in the vocals, that's a good sign, and that's at least how I feel after the half a year of writing the lyrics. I'm finally like, okay, now everything feels natural, even though it felt like sometimes so, stiff, like working on it. And sometimes you might be afraid that is it like too I don't know, like systematic or too for like that there's too clear formula how I do it. But when you listen to that stuff through when it's ready and you don't get this kind of a weird feeling that something sticks out, then you should be good to go. And yeah, but I really go to the really insane amount of detail when it comes to these things, and even like what kind of a vowel sounds better in some parts, and even if the line is perfect and it fits to the melody, but if I don't like how the vowel sits in certain note, I might for that reason find a different word that says the same meaning but sounds better, like to the ear when the singer sings it. So
Well, it shows.
Well, I'm glad if people enjoy the end result. We'll know better on 29th of October when that's when the truth is really revealed, when everyone can pass their own judgment on the album.
Very, very true. Something else you mentioned was some heavier guitar sounds, and as a guitar player, I've always enjoyed your guitar tone. I'm curious, anything you can share about your guitar tone?
Well, I don't know. I use plugins. That's basically it. With the first album, we used the guitar pedal for the rhythm guitars, line 6. And then on the second and the third album, we have used guitar plugins, different ones, both for rhythm and solo sounds. And to me, it's just another tool that serves the bigger picture, which is the song, how the song sounds and the album sounds. It doesn't matter what tools you use, as long as they do the job for you. So I'm not against the traditional way of recording guitars, or everything is all right, but you just have to find a producer and like do things your way. Usually it takes years for you to find your kind of trademark approach, how you work the most efficient way and without compromising the end result, so that you're like good to go in like each aspect, from the technical aspect, from the creational side, and I like to keep things quite simple when it comes to the technical side of things. I'm kind of a minimalistic when it comes to that.
Very cool. Now, speaking of the truth being revealed, there's a tour that I have across my desk starting, looks like late November into late December, just before the obvious break people are going to take for the holidays. So I guess maybe take us through this tour. What are you guys going to be doing? Where are you going to be going? Who are you with?
Well, we hope that we can make it happen. With this pandemic, it's every day is a whole new situation. Like when you speak to the booking agency promoters and to the management, and someday you hear, all right, in this country things are going better, but on the next day some other country says that their things are going worse regarding pandemic, and everything affects the tour. So it's like so difficult to say, but we always keep our fingers crossed for the better and try to be optimistic that it happens. And we have to prepare for it really soon, and we haven't even played the songs yet, not a single time together, because we record the stuff one by one in the studio in a way that I send the songs to the guys and they do their homework and then come to studio, record their parts, but we've never even played those songs together live. So we are getting ready for that as well.
Yeah.
So that's exciting for us. Let's see how nervous we will be in the first 2 or 3 days with playing that and trying to memorize everything, and then also do some basic choreography stuff, like Judas Priest style with the twin guitars and also the bass to synchronize the movements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Basic stuff, but usually it takes a week, and then we are quite all right with the plans, how we do stuff on stage and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So everybody listening in today's show notes down below the episodes, wherever you're listening in, Spotify, Apple Music, you're watching on YouTube or the website, rockmetalpodcast.ca. We've got beastinblack.com, where you can stay up to date with everything Beast in Black. 2 videos at time of recording this episode are available. One Night in Tokyo and Moonlight Rendezvous you can check out, as well as, gang, at time of releasing this, the album Dark Connection will be available everywhere you consume music out via Nuclear Blast Records. Anton, that concludes all of my questions, unless there was anything that I missed. Is there something that I missed you wanted to chat about, maybe?
Well, I just want to thank you. Thank the whole fan base and all the people who have been patient in waiting for this new album. I hope it will be worth it. Hope everyone will enjoy it more than once. That it's great if it can give a lasting listening experience. And after that, see you guys on the road, and see how well we can pull those songs off live.
Yeah, well, what was it, September of 2020, you guys were supposed to come through here in Edmonton, so I'm just waiting for everything else to just, bring you back over here to Canada, baby.
Yeah. Anyway, our plan is to do massive touring with this album. But as I said, with this pandemic, you never know what's going to happen in the near future with this tour, but the bigger plan is to tour 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, so we're definitely gonna reach all the corners of the world. At least that's the plan, and we're pushing really hard towards that direction.
Beautiful.
So.
All right. Well, when it opens up and you can come to Canada, I'll be backstage and we can chat about the amazing tour at that point. In the meantime, like I said, everybody listening in, beastinblack.com, 2 videos available down below in the show notes. One Night in Tokyo, Moonlight Rendezvous, and the album Dark Connection out via Nuclear Blast Records. Anton, thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you.